Research paper. Those might be the most frightening 2 words in a high school student's life. I get it. They terrified me as well. Well, let's demystify the idea right now. A research paper should be about a topic of interest to you, presumably something about which you have a bit of knowledge already. For the English student, the paper will be about a piece of literature you've read. Your job is to find the angle that appeals to you and that allows for interesting investigation. When you're looking for sources, you should have an idea about what you'd like to write because it will help you narrow your search. There are probably thousands of things written about nearly any topic you can conceive, so how do you select a good source? That's what we're going to investigate in this video. In order to be acceptable as a source must have what's called authority. And there's a couple of different ways to check for authority. First of all, the author of the material is listed along with his or her credentials. Second, the editor of the website have listed their names with links to their credentials. It can't just be the local hammer salesman who reads a lot of Shakespeare in his free time. Third, the organization that sponsors the site is reputable. Typically a .org is more reliable than a .com, and a .edu is more reliable than either one. If you're looking for research on a play and the site has a .edu URL, you're at least headed in the right direction. Fourth, there's some sort of advisory panel consisting of experts in the field who offer advice to the website producers about the content. And fifth, there's a clearly identified editorial policy that explains how material is evaluated prior to publication. Now let's take a look at a stinker of a site and at a decent one. Let's say we're doing a paper on Shakespeare's play The Tempest. We could go to Google and type in criticism of Shakespeare's The Tempest, and we'll see what happens. And right off the bat we get a couple of fairly interesting headlines. And let's take a look at the second one, a critical analysis of The Tempest by Shakespeare. That seems to be just what I'm looking for. Could I get that lucky? Probably not. Now when I click on this, I'm suspicious already because I don't know what any of these things up here have to do with the play or with Shakespeare. But I'm going to be open-minded and I'm going to see if this site has authority. I'm going to scroll down, and here's the article. Okay, and get to the bottom where there's usually good information. Uh-oh. I don't see an author's name. I can't find an editorial board, and I don't know what the sponsoring organization is, but this seems to indicate that this is some sort of a blog site. There's no advisory panel that I can find, nor can I find an editorial policy. But let's check the home page and see if there's some information there. Well, there's some interesting things on this web page. Oh, nice family photo. But I'm not finding anything that suggests that this is a reputable site. Let's go back to the article. And I want to show you a little bit of a red flag. I can't find the author's name anywhere. That's a rather large red flag. When I scroll to the end of the article, I see this article is originally written for English 11001E, Introduction to Literary Studies. That's a rather large red flag. This article most definitely does not have authority. Next. If I go down my list, my Google list here, and by the way, doing a Google search for credible sources is not the best way to go. A really good way to go is to use the library's databases. That's going to immediately direct you to quality sources. But if I'm looking down here, I'm looking for anything that has at least a .edu, and I see I've got one right here. Shakespeare's Gentle Apocalypse, The Tempest. And if I could see right off the bat that I've got a reputable sponsoring organization, UCLA. So let's check this out and see if this is an acceptable source. Wow! To begin with, I've got a name. Peter Goldman wrote this article, and he works for the Department of English at Westminster College. I've got his name and I've got his credentials right off the bat. This is looking pretty good. I'm not exactly sure what anthropoetics is, so let's see. If I go to the bottom of the article, it's a long one, I can see that it's the Journal of Generative Anthropology, and I can click on this little link at the bottom here. You can't see it, but it's a link to UCLA, and I can see that this is an online journal. So it's a journal which is automatically telling me that this is better than the previous website. So this is a regularly published journal, and when I scroll through these articles and from previous issues as well, I can see that this is quality stuff. But let's go back and let's look at some other things that will indicate that this is an acceptable site. Down at the bottom here, I've got this list of works cited, and I can sort of tell that the author has done his work. He's also got some notes that suggest that that he's done his homework. Second, I've got bibliographic information here at the bottom about, let's see if I can, there we go, bibliographic information here at the bottom about where this was published. I need to investigate no further. This is an article that may be useful to me. It also might not be useful to me, and the only way I'm going to find out is by reading it. I know it has authority, so it's worth a read. Reading it will tell me whether I will be able to use the ideas, some of the ideas, Goldman's ideas, to support some ideas that I've created in my own paper. Hopefully you now understand what distinguishes a good internet source from a suspect one.